to the Toffee Blues, your source for all things Everton, and welcome to the long-awaited return of the match preview segment. In case you haven't noticed, after 3 months off, the Premier League is back, and Everton are back on Sunday night with the small matter of a Merseyside derby against our old friends from across the park. To preview with me, I've got Tom and Max. We're going to do our best to not get depressed over the prospect of our most dreaded fixture of the English calendar. So, yeah, how are you doing, lads?
Doing very well, mate. How about you?
Yeah, pretty solid, with the exception of the obvious trepidation of playing that lot.
You know what, as you rightly said, at least circumstances aren't as first feared. At least Manchester City got the business done last night with quite some.
Absolutely. Now, in case you were living under a rock last night on Everton Twitter, now thankfully you might have heard that Man City got a 3-0 win over Arsenal, which means that lot can't win the title by beating us at Goodison, which I'm sure we're all breathing a massive sigh of relief over. It'll probably make the incoming inevitable heartache a little less painful. But nonetheless, what can we expect going into this game? Obviously, neither side's played for 3 months. Is it a bit more of an unknown quantity because of that, do you think? What about you, Tom?
Yeah, I suppose so. I was saying this yesterday with Max about the way Liverpool have had a friendly against another team. Everton have gone into this on the back of an intra-squad friendly, which we've seen highlights of on YouTube, of course. But we've not had a friendly with another club, and I reckon that puts us at a disadvantage. After watching Arsenal City last night, I thought Arsenal, at the start, looked a little bit sharper because they'd had a friendly. I know they got outplayed in the end because David Luiz absolutely messed it up for them. But I think it does give you a bit of an edge if you've had a friendly against another club. You're that step ahead. Yeah, it's a better pre-season, I suppose, at least. But no, I'd say we're at a bit of a disadvantage in that way to Liverpool, and that makes me even more nervous, to be honest. But yeah, I'm not feeling good for this one. I'm absolutely terrified that the lack of crowd is going to make it into a training game, and they are just going to hit goal after goal against us, and we'd just be helpless, to be honest. But that's a negative, pessimistic approach, I suppose. I hope you lads are more positive than I am.
Do you want the God's honest truth? I'm even more pessimistic than you because I've been saying this regularly on some of the shows I've been doing lately, and it's just my concern about this Everton squad is that I don't think our players are professionally motivated. I feel like we need the fans to help us kick on and maybe go up a gear. Can you tell me whether you think Morgan Schneiderlin or Gylfi Sigurdsson is motivating themselves to kick on to the next level? Because the performances suggest otherwise, and that was with the fans. So, you know, I'm a little bit nervous because I'm not sure how committed to playing for Everton these players are. Some of them without having the fans maybe kicking them on to or getting on the backs even and making them work a bit harder. I'm not too sure whether they've got it in them to motivate themselves, and it'll be interesting to see what happens. Max, are you a bit more optimistic?
I mean, you've set me up to fail there, mate. But I just thought that I think it's a roundly shared perspective that you've got there, and I think it's been a point of contention for several years now. I'd say going on 4 or 5 years. Does this group of players, on an individual subjective basis, understand what it means to play for Everton Football Club? Like, for example, I was speaking to Kevin Ratcliffe a few weeks back, and he said, you know, now it very much seems like players coming into the football club are joining Everton in the Premier League, and that's their motivation.
I agree with that 100%.
To play at the most commercially lucrative and exposed to a media extent league in the world. Now, I was going to say, I do think for the viewers at home and those that are also watching this video, that you've quite possibly come to the worst possible 3 to get a match preview from, given the fact that we're all relatively young and we've endured some absolute beatings over the years.
Depressing Merseyside derby experience.
Yeah, most definitely. When we know the script for this. We know the script. We haven't won a derby in 10 years. I remember it well. I was there. Tim Cahill and Mikel Arteta getting on the score sheet. And I think this is something like the 236th Merseyside derby. We've only got 66 wins out of that. Now,
Well, yeah,
Yes.
that means it's 36 games since the 200th was the one where Carsley scored the winner. So they are 36 derbies, and since then we've only won 4 of them, I think.
I know it doesn't make for very pleasant reading, but if you're looking for some sort of constructive analysis of this, you've got to look at the unique opportunity that it is. Like we say, of all games to be coming back to into the most obscure circumstances, to be playing a Merseyside derby really is quite interesting, especially from a neutral perspective. I'd say. I mean, yes, we often go into these games void of much confidence, but I would like to think, especially with the likes of that pressure being off with Manchester City getting a result last night, we can go into this game and look to express ourselves. As I said, like, we know the script. We're coming under this very underhanded. We've got several injuries. Like Walcott's out, Mina is a doubt, Delphi the doubt, Jubaman as usual is out. Andre Gomez, I know, is in training now. As I watched the most recent training video that the club put up on YouTube, and Gomez looks in the full swing of thing there. But in a Goodison Park without the fans there, as you say, it may very much play to our disadvantage. But I would urge the fans to observe these guidelines that are put in place to stay at home and to watch the game. Me and Tom were having the debate yesterday over this sort of perspective, or perception, I should say, of Scousers in relation to football, and the fact that there was reservations about throwing a parade for Liverpool if they do win the title, and whether or not the derby would actually be hosted at Goodison. And right, as Tom rightly said yesterday in the podcast that we did, that this isn't the 80s anymore. The age of football hooliganism is well past, and this does provide a very unique viewing experience. I know the club, as usual, are firing on all cylinders with their social medias, and I believe there's something like a YouTube match day program that's coming out, which is going to be really quite interesting. But do I want to win? Yes. Can I see a win? That's an entirely different question.
Yeah, I think we all know what the answer is as well. Tom, what about you, mate? Would you say I think it's a bit of a blessing in disguise as well. I think the whole having it back at Goodison with no fans, it's a hard place, Goodison, if things do go wrong. Could we see maybe a more relaxed Everton, and could that maybe make us a bit more composed against a side who like to harry you? What do you think, Tom?
Yeah. I was thinking that as well, the way some players might benefit from it, the likes of Tom Davies, the players who do get it down their ear, essentially, when they make a mistake. They won't have that anymore. I think some of our players, as you were saying before, the likes of Schneider and Sigurdsson kind of do need it down their ear to wake them up sometimes and get them into the game. So some players will suffer from the lack of fans, but players like Tom Davies might benefit from the lack of crowd, be able to get some form together rather than having it down their ear the whole time. And I suppose it is less pressure in a way, but Carlo Ancelotti had just been trying to make Goodison into a fortress, and he's got a good home record since he's come in. And it's not the same. I was saying this yesterday, the way it's a home game, but it's not really, is it? Because you haven't got the 12th man. It's just it's a football pitch, and I know the seats are blue. What difference does that make? It doesn't make much of a difference. The only one I could think of is geographically, but we're playing Liverpool. It's not much. It's not like they have to travel very far. So it's not really home advantage. But I hope that some of the players like Tom Davies and some of the younger players, well, Anthony Gordon maybe, I know the crowd will get behind him, but some players will feel less pressure and be able to perform better. And I suppose young players like Gordon will hopefully benefit from that.
Yeah, I think when I said what I said before, I was pretty much referring indirectly to Tom Davies, who's a lad who has been known to get a bit of stick. But I think this could be the best opportunity he could have wished for, Tom Davies, given the situation with the injuries and maybe the lack of fans on his back. I think this is probably the big moment that he needs if he's going to make that big step up as a first team regular. He's got to do it in these next 9 games, I think. But looking back particularly to the derby, What sort of setup can we expect? Do you think obviously we're a bit of a depleted side at the moment, aren't we? We're missing a lot of first team players, but can we expect to see any maybe young lads get a go? Obviously, it's down to circumstance more than anything else, but do you reckon we might see a few?
Anthony Gordon, and as we say, and I think he's going to be hopefully getting a game. He showed some promise in the video. Certainly, the video we saw of the inter squad training match, he looked quite promising. So I think he'll get some minutes, especially with the 5 subs as well. You've got much more rotation, and I think it's going to benefit the bigger clubs because they've got, see, Arsenal City yesterday, their benches were ridiculous. And the smaller clubs don't have the same effect because they don't have the squad depth in some cases. And I think, unfortunately, that I'd probably have to put us in that category at the moment. We have squad depth, but not quality. So we will be bringing some of the younger lads on. The likes of possibly even players like Jared Brantwaite at the moment. We've got a little bit of problems at centre-back with Yerry Mina still struggling. So I can see Jared Brantwaite getting a chance on the bench. So maybe he might make an appearance at some stage because you've got Holgate and Michael Keane with those spots at the moment. But obviously they'll need backup with games every 2 or 3 days. So I can see him getting a chance. Apart from those two, Benny Beningham's been thereabouts. Dennis Adeniran was involved in that match. Not sure how much we'll see of those because we have got good numbers in centre midfield. It's not necessarily quality, but we've got numbers, and no doubt we'll see pretty much all of the squad. If we're playing games every 3 days with 5 subs, I do think we're going to see the majority of the first team squad, and maybe that'll include the likes of Kuko Martin and Umani Ash. You never know, but it is going to be a lot of rotation, so we will see some fringe players getting a chance.
It's insane. I mean, to think that we might actually see Cuco Martina play for Everton again is like insane. It's a bit of thinking about, really. Well, let's just hope it's not in the derby because I don't think we can stomach that. But yeah, I think it's such an unknown situation, obviously, that we're going into with the sort of setup. But with the way Liverpool play, do you think that maybe like the sort of they're quite a high pressing team? Do you think maybe having that bit more composure on the ball could like help us out a bit?
I would 100% yes, I'd agree. But at the same time, I feel like it is worth raising the point that whilst big media outlets have been whisked up in this narrative of Liverpool potentially winning the league at Goodison Park, now that's kind of been stripped bare, and it remains the fact that, you know, out of the games that they've played this season, most recently they've been on their biggest downturn of form. I think they've lost 4 of the last 6 games in all competitions. And I had someone have a swing at me for that last night on Twitter because I brought that point up. Because
someone will definitely have responded with that "haha, time for Everton" meme or something.
But on a technical basis, there's no shadow of a doubt. Yes, Liverpool individually and collectively are a much better side. But as we've seen from the games that took place yesterday, there's just a unique difference to them. And I would go as far as to say they're even more so different than a pre-season games, in that there was, you know, a high volume of injuries. The game seemed to be played.
Yeah, Arsenal had like 3 injuries, didn't they?
Yeah, and the game seemed to be played at a much slower pace. Players didn't seem to be covering as much ground. Now, Liverpool have become notorious, as you say, James, for that
high tempo.
High tempo, you know, relentlessness and failure to let you breathe on the ball. The optimist in me would like to think that given such a long layoff, 100 days, 101 days, well, you know, it'll be a few more than that now when it gets to Sunday, but you'd like to think when it comes down to it, it might be quite a bit of a shock to the system. Yes, I know they play Blackburn at Anfield and they won 6-0.
Oh, God.
But I'm hoping that if we tactically are astute enough, and like we seen with that game yesterday, I noticed when I was watching Villa that there'd be water breaks, say every 15-20 minutes, and who better would you want to go back and listen to than Carlo Ancelotti? You know, a man who's very, very intelligent and has been in and around big games.
He's a very, very assured manager.
Exactly. So you'd like to think with that pressure of a crowd baying for blood off, that players can remain composed, level-headed, and take in information from Ancelotti and use it properly, and play their roles to a T on Sunday evening.
I think the most important thing is, like you say, with those 20-minute breaks, every 20 minutes we get a chance to maybe regroup if things aren't going well, and maybe change the system. And sort of, it's not often in a normal circumstance you get a manager, wouldn't you, who would be shouting an instruction to one player who'd be passing it on to the others. And it's not often you get a chance for the whole team to sort of regroup, almost like a timeout in like basketball or something. You don't really get that in football. So this might be a circumstance that could help, especially a side who might be on the defensive side of things, let's say. I think it's safe to say I think we'll be doing a lot of defending. So,
or it might be like a boxer going back in between rounds to its corner after getting the shit beaten out of him for the last round. Who knows? It remains to be seen, but we'll see. We'll see. I'm not confident, but I haven't been given any evidence to prove me otherwise, really.
Well, I don't think we haven't been given any evidence for 10 years, have we, really? I mean, but going into this game, it seems like the whole world is against us, but with the whole injury situation, plus obviously like you say, the golf quality as well. But I think you mentioned it briefly earlier on, didn't you? Could the fact that the pressure of them not winning the league at Goodison, if they win, I think that might give our players a little bit of a boost, like maybe just a little, maybe not even a morale boost, just maybe a bit of a good omen. It just might.
I think it'd certainly give them a relief in a sense, you know. Of course, because that running narrative of them losing the league last season of Goodison. I'm sure if Manchester City did slip up last night, that Liverpool would, 100% be on the ball coming into this game, which may leave us a bit trepid. But as I say, I don't know if it be viewed as a positive motivation, as we've got nothing to play for ourselves, and I don't think we should draw any sort of positive inference from the fact that our main rivals are doing so well. But it might just be key, that relief of, okay, if they do get 3 points, that's not going to be them. That's not going to be them immortalised for winning the league at Goodison.
Yeah, that's
hopefully.
And I think for us as fans, that's what matters the most. Is that regardless of what happens on Sunday, we won't have to deal with that. And I think I'm one of them. I'll admit that they're the best team and that they've earned the title, but I would never have lived it down. I just did not want that to happen under any circumstances. And thankfully, we've learned that maybe we aren't completely despised by the football gods. Yeah, I just think it's going to be it's going to be a chastening experience. It always is, the Merseyside derby, but you never know. We could spring a surprise. We'll finish off then. We're going to go with let's have a little score prediction.
Oh, Jesus Christ!
Go ahead, Max. What do you think?
I don't know. I'll lend me optimist for this one. I'll say it'll be a 2-2 draw.
Tom?
I don't think we'll score. I'm very ambitious that we'll score. I said 0-0 yesterday, so I'll stick with that. But I can. That's not a prediction. That's a more of a
pipe dream
ambition, I suppose. It's a very ambitious prediction. If I was going to give a realistic one, it would be about. I was saying yesterday about my dream. Yeah, I had a nightmare that it was going to be a training game for Liverpool and they were just going to score, jog back to the centre circle, score again, jog back to the centre circle. It will be about 8-10-0, but that's not my prediction. I'll say 0-0, hopefully, but that's fingers crossed.
I think I'll try and be optimistic as well. Then I'll go firmly down the middle between you there, and I'll go with 1-1.
Huh.
I think it's one of them. I mean, normally I'd be optimistic that we can get at least a draw at Goodison. But without the fans, it's just a bit of an unknown quantity. And I think we noticed yesterday with the City game, and I think the sides who are better on paper seem to do better in these behind closed doors fixtures just because the fans aren't there to sort of balance redress the balance, if you know what I mean. So it is a bit daunting, but nonetheless, we've got no choice. We've got to suck it up, and it's coming up in a couple of days' time. We've get it out the way, and then hopefully we can move forward and do match previews like this with a bit more optimism for the games that are left after that.
I know, just get us out of 12th place, mate. That
it,
feels horrible to say that.
Depressing, isn't it?
Just top half, anything top half. Just as long as not in that graphic at the bottom of the table with the likes of bloody Norwich and all that. Just as long as we're in the top half of the table, that's fine. We'll push towards Europe if we can. I doubt there's a chance now, but top half, that's fine.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I think after the way we started the season, I think that'd be passable at this stage. But let's just get through the derby first, and hopefully come away as unscathed as humanly possible. There you have it, guys. Derby's coming up. You know what that usually means, but nonetheless, let us know how you think we're going to get on. Let us know your opinions on how the sort of preparations have been going as well, and what you're looking forward to coming back, and the situation with fans as well, like what you're going to be doing, how you're going to be watching the game. Drop us a comment, give us a like and a subscribe, and thank you for watching on the Toffee Blues.